Hi, I'm Tom. In 4 years I've owned 3 Mahindras. 1 I don't have anymore and 2 that I currently have. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about Mahindra tractors, so stick around and I'll show you what I know. So I'll start out really quick, explain to you why I bought a Mahindra tractor instead of, say, a John Deere or a Kubota. Those were really the only other 2 dealerships who were close enough to me to make it even worth my consideration. So John Deere was out. I didn't like their aluminum rear ends. I didn't like that they couldn't take a backhoe. I didn't like that they didn't have adjustable rims on the back. I didn't like that you had to pay extra for a drawbar. I didn't like the diesel particulate filter that you had to add something to, and the price was insane. So, and they also didn't come with a quick attach bucket. They had John Deere's proprietary pin-on bucket, and I already had some the quick hitch bucket implements, so immediately John Deere was off the table. So Kubota was the next one on the table, and I had a Kubota a few years ago. Actually, I've had 2 of them, and I have nothing bad to say about Kubota. The reason I got rid of my last Kubota was because it didn't have live power, and just the type of operation that I'm doing here, I had to have live or independent PTO. So Kubota, as far as quality, top notch. I have nothing bad to say about them. However, the dealership that was close by me, I didn't care for them much, and the next closest family-owned dealership was 2 hours away. So when I started going feature for feature, I started looking at Mahindras, and the dealership that I bought these from is very close by. They're only about 15 minutes away. They've been around a long time. My family's done business with them for cub cadet and chainsaws and small engines, etc. So it seemed like a wise choice to go there, and I haven't regretted it as far as customer service goes. So Mahindra uses what they call MCRD, which is Mahindra Common Rail Diesel technology, and it's just a different way to meet Tier 4 compliance without using the particulate filter or adding DPF fluid. So I think they burn a little bit hotter, and people who don't like Mahindra will talk about how hot they run, and I haven't really noticed that it's too bad. When I work with hay, and I haven't had issues. My nephew has a John Deere, and it has the DPF on it, and it goes into regen, which was another reason I wasn't really interested in a Kubota or a John Deere. Ultimately, was because I didn't want to be in the barn or doing something with hay and have the tractor go in regen. And you can defer it for a little bit, but you can't really do much with the tractor while it's in regen, and it revs up and burns all the crap off. So Mahindra had spent $30 million on a factory to make them Tier 4 compliant without using DPF filters or fluids. So when I started looking at some more features, the seat, if you're spending a lot of time in the tractor, I know it may sound like a moot point, but if you are in the tractor seat a long time, armrests and a really comfortable seat, it sheds water. So the seat, to me, if you're not comfortable in it, you're not going to want to spend a lot of time in it. And I do, as a farmer, spend a lot of time in my tractor seats. So the DPF and the seat, the integrated hydraulics, the John Deere that I was looking at still had the joystick up on the loader, and Kubota's economy tractors, that's where the joystick was also. It wasn't plumbed into the fender. And the Kubota, yes, has a lot of steel in it, so that was another thing I liked about Kubota over John Deere's. I've owned John Deere garden tractors, and once those hoods get old, they get brittle, and they say they're unbreakable. Well, that's really not true. They get really brittle, and they're very expensive. Mahindra, my Mahindra tractors have metal hoods on them, and so they can rust, but they're not going to bust. So they can rust, but they can't bust. The Indian built Mahindras, and they've been around since at least the 1940s. They used to build Jeeps and tractors for International Harvester, and also I think it's Tang Yon Mulsan TYM tractors. They're in Korea, or South Korea, and they used to build a lot of the Mahindra engines until Mahindra changed their technology, and so those Mahindra engines, those Tier 4 compliant motors, the ones that aren't Mitsubishi made, are made in India. So you've got a tractor with a motor made in India, and then the rest of the tractors from South Korea. And I may be wrong about that, but that's what I think. So the Mitsubishi tractors, Mitsubishi owns 33% of Mahindra, and so they've got The Max, which is what this one is right here, and they had the 15 series, which is before this one, and so they had the Max XL. Now they have the Max XLT, both made in Japan. Completely Japanese motor, Japanese everything. The loader is made in the United States. Behind me is a 1635 that has the Mahindra motor in it, so I think that was probably made in India or South Korea. I couldn't tell you which, but the tractor itself is made in Japan, and so the final assembly plant, even though some of it was Indian parts, it was put together and built in Japan. So really quickly, these two Japanese tractors have been pretty reliable for me. The dealership has been stellar, and I really don't have any complaints. I still really like Kubota, and if things were different, if all factors were completely equal on the playing field, I'd be sitting in a Kubota instead of a Mahindra. But that said, I'm not dissatisfied with these Mahindra tractors that I do have. The tractor that I had before this Max was a 2538, and that one was, I believe, completely built by TYM. And I can't take one tractor and base an entire lineup of tractors upon one tractor purchase. So I'm not gonna make too much of a determination upon that as far as, you know, a blanket statement. But I will tell you that that tractor was fraught with issues since the day I brought it home. The dash went kerflooey. In the dealership, they're stellar. They came out, they took a dash off one of their tractors on the lot and swapped it out in my driveway, and so that solved that problem. But I did keep having hydraulic leaks, and ultimately the last leak was the final straw, and it was just, the dealership told me that one of the pipe fittings underneath had been gump welded from the factory, and that's the way it had been shipped. So like I said, I think maybe it was just built on a Friday afternoon and everybody wanted to go home. But the tractor itself was a lemon, and I didn't have any engine problems. The engine was fine, but it just seems like everything else was crap. The PTO sometimes wouldn't work, sometimes it would. The loader valve was on the side. The 25 series has been replaced by the 26 series, so they've improved some things, I'm guessing. But I can tell you that 2538, built by TYM, was a piece of junk, and I don't regret getting rid of it. When I got rid of it, I was also considering, again, the Kubota and John Deere, but the dealership, being who they are, they were very good to me and gave me an excellent trade and gave me a really good deal on this Max. And I swear to God, I have not had one issue with this tractor that is you know, knock on wood, upsetting. In one of my previous videos, I went down and started looking at the loader bolts, and I was missing a couple. And I want to take the heat for that myself, because, you know, I was told from the get-go that I should go and periodically check those loader bolts, and, you know, I'd look at them once in a while and they didn't look too bad. And then the other day it just kind of crossed my mind. I'm like, well, I'll get down and take a look at it and see what's going on down there before I go use the tractor. And lo and behold, two of the bolts were gone and the rest of them were loose. So I fixed that. And also, that TYM 2538 Mahindra, the wheels almost fell off on me. The wheel bolts fell out within a few hours of use. They were tight and then they were gone. So I just can't tell you anything good about that tractor. I absolutely despised it. This Max tractor, other than a couple of loose bolts or missing bolts, everything has been fine. I have not had one single issue with it, and again, knock on wood, it's Mitsubishi built, and it starts every time, and it runs perfectly. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the Japanese Mitsubishi Mahindras are top quality. Now this tractor here, the 16 series, they have a 1626, which I think might slip under the Tier 4 cutoff. I thought it was 25 horsepower, and this is a 35. My brother's got a 26. But he has not had any issues with it. He's got about 150 hours, which in the grand scheme of things is not a whole lot. This one behind me has 200 hours on it. I just turned 200 hours. It's 2 years old. My Max is 3 years old. The 2538 I got in 2018 and traded it for the Max in 2019. So a couple things about the 16 series. It's a heavy tractor. It's a reliable tractor. It does everything I want to do with it. I don't use it as a bulldozer. It's a farm tractor, and I use it for mowing, tedding hay, pulling wagons, and unloading round bales, taking grain off the back of the truck. It's basically, I pick things up, put them down, and haul things with it. The Max I use underneath the barn. I like its low profile. When I put the roll bar down, I have an 1800s barn here, and put the cows underneath because it has a wooden floor. So there's not a lot of clearance. The Max works perfectly for going in there and cleaning out cows. Excellent tractor, not one complaint. I have heard some issues about people getting this bunged up on stumps or stuff. Knock on wood, I've been pretty lucky. I don't take this tractor off-roading. I pretty much stay on my woods trails or on the field or the driveway, so I haven't had issues. I did have an issue with one of the hydraulic lines for the control when I first got it, and the dealership promptly fixed that for me, and I haven't had any troubles, knock on wood, since. But I will tell you that I owned a 2005 John Deere 4110 that the hydraulic couplers were junk from the factory, and when I told the dealership about it, they gave me 2 hydraulic couplers off the shelf, handed them to me, and said, here you go fix it. Brand new tractor. Should have been under warranty. John Deere told me to go fix my own tractor, so there you go. I also know that everybody's got a story. I know that everybody, people love what they love. People will take things with a grain of salt. People will say, you beat on your stuff, or you're a problem child, and I promise you I'm very nice. I'm not a mean person. When I go in the dealership, everybody likes me, and I don't have issues. That said, I've had one issue with this tractor, and they've fixed it. One thing I'm starting to get now is I think the starter solenoid's clicking a little bit, and I've heard that's kind of common on a lot of the new tractors. Just the solenoid gets a little bit of corrosion on it, and then instead of actually engaging the starter, it clicks. And I'm going to take a look at that, and maybe it's got some corrosion, and it could be the battery terminal. And I don't care what color tractor you buy, the batteries in them aren't top quality, and the battery cables, they're not very good. I had my Kubota and my John Deere were both brand new tractors, and it didn't take very long for those cables to rot right off. So going forward, I put dielectric grease on those, and that keeps them from corroding. I've heard horror stories about people bending cylinders, and you look in the manual, it tells you don't want to push or doze with your buckets, and you don't want to really extend your cylinder past, say, halfway and push on something. And I've seen people rack their buckets. They've racked the loader frames, pushed them sideways, busted it all up. But when you look at these tractors, there's really only a couple places where they're bolted on, so you kind of, I look at them and go, well, it's not really designed for that, because you've got basically one pin there on each side, and that's pretty much what holds your loader on. So when you start pushing it side to side, that force isn't going to do that tractor any favors. The second problem I had with this tractor was it came with these telescoping or adjustable, whatever you want to call them. They went here in place of the turnbuckles, and I was very careful with them. I wasn't backblading or dozing or anything like that, and just the sway to side running a hay tedder or a mower ended up doing them in for me. So I had these turnbuckles on the wall. They came off a Kubota I had, and it looks like I'm back in the turnbuckle business. But one of the key features of this tractor that I really enjoy the most are these telescoping draft links right here. And the way these work is that you just push this down here, and then these come out. So you don't have to get exactly up to your implement. And then you got your regular 3-point hitch adjustments. I also have a remote spool on it. The ag tires were necessary for what I wanted to do here, and they're adjustable rims, so I can get a really good wide stance on this tractor. It's heavy. The Kubota, I think, had a bigger axle on the front of it, and I know it did. I've been to the dealership, and they had one of those TYM 26 series tractors with a cab on it, and the whole front wheel was broken off, and the mechanic told me the guy was just driving around in 4-wheel drive on tar, and that makes sense to me. So I think, well, he told me at least 75%, and he's not gonna lie to me. I mean, I've known these people forever. He told me, at least 70% to 75% of the issues that they see come in are just user neglect or incorrect operation. People don't read their owner's manuals. They buy a utility tractor with a backhoe and think they've got a 10-ton excavator. And so these tractors are just compact tractors, especially the little ones. They're a glorified lawn tractor, and they're pretty handy, but you just have to remember the limitations, and they seem to be pretty reliable as far as that goes. Mahindra tractors, they come with tilt wheel, and the Mitsubishi ones have this treadle pedal, which Kubota also uses. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the two pedal side by sides like John Deere uses. Those are a lot more user friendly to me. I can't understand why you'd have the go pedals and the brakes on the same side unless you're some kind of circus freak, because I don't know how you would even use those. These are turning brakes. You've got two, right? And then I'm not sure. So in sum, I think Mahindra makes a decent tractor. I think the dealership plays a huge factor in no matter which tractor you buy. I feel like you're shopping the dealership. The dealership is going to be the people that you're going to deal with directly, and if they like you and you like them, that's the good start of a relationship that you're going to be dealing with down the road. And so I buy my filters. I do get some service done there. I have a good reputation with them, and in theory, the reason behind that too, besides giving them the business, is that if I do have issues down the road, they're going to go to bat for me, because they know the history of the tractors. They know that they've been in there for service. They've done the service. And Mahindra parts, I've seen horror stories where people bought like Wix filters or something and modified an air filter or put a non-Mahindra. So if you put the wrong filter on it, you don't put the Mahindra parts in it, they're going to find whatever reason they can not to back up your warranty. So just buyer beware. I would recommend, at least for the warranty period of the tractor, to buy Mahindra parts, and then at least you've got a leg to stand on as far as that goes. So let's talk about everything I absolutely love about these tractors. I love the quick attach skid steer buckets. It means you can take your skid steer ready implements, 2 levers, on and off, really simple. I love how comfortable this tractor is to ride on. If you're going to be in your tractor seat for hours and hours, you kind of want a nice place to put your butt. And with tilt wheel and retractable seat belts, got my cup holders, my cell phone holder, put a canopy on, it's really not a bad place to be. The noise isn't too bad. Make sure you wear your earplugs, but with the shuttle shift and the power steering, the loader is nice and stout. I feel like the power's there. I can lift up what I want. I can move what I want. It's a good, comfortable tractor to spend your afternoon in. So that's the 16 series. With Max, I feel like one of the things that is really worth mentioning about this tractor is that it sits really wide. From the factory, this tractor has a good wide stance on it, and it feels stable all the time. Both of these tractors have loaded tires. They have beet juice in them, which is biodegradable, it's non-toxic, all those things. But it has a good wide stance to it. And the front tires are reversible, so I widen those up, and both of these tractors will take those round bales, no problem. And I'm not sure exactly what the lift capacity is of these tractors, but it's not exceeded by either the 1,000-pound tote of grain or the round bales. I definitely think the fit and finish on the Mitsubishi tractors is of much higher quality than the TYM tractors, which, I don't know all the different series of what's what, but I do know the Max and the 16 series are Mitsubishi. I know the 25, 26 series is TYM. There's lots of places people put toolboxes. Some people put them on the side of the loader. Some people put them here. I found the best place on this tractor was to mount it right back here. That way I'm not fetching up on stuff, and it's a good solid toolbox, and I can keep all my stuff in it. With the Mahindra tractors, the tie rod is in behind the axle, so when you're going through the woods or something, the Kubota, the tie rods are in the front, and it's really easy to bend those tie rods, and then you've got your front wheels going the wrong way, and you have to straighten it out, and it's the whole thing. So the $64,000 question, would I buy another Mahindra? Mitsubishi made Mahindra all day long, like the 1626, 1635, 1640. I think they're all pretty good tractors. The fit and finish is good. The Max are good tractors. The The TYM built tractors, I don't know. I had that one bad experience and it was an expensive experience. I never had bad luck with the Kubota that I owned. So if all things were equal, I liked the dealership and it was close by, I'd probably get another Kubota. You be the judge. Hopefully this video has been helpful for those of you looking at buying new tractors. Please take care, and I appreciate you watching.